Morning. I hope y'all's day is going pretty good. Today we're going to be talking about marketing through messy action. And I have a guest expert that I'm waiting to come on. I accepted it. There it
Cool.
goes.
Can you hear me?
How you doing?
Doing good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Can you
Oh,
hear me?
perfect. We're good to go.
Okay, good. Just give people a couple seconds to come on.
Oh, no, you're fine.
How's everything on your end?
Actually, good. It's been a fairly quiet, calm fall morning.
That's good. It's still pretty humid over here, so
Yeah, we had a cold front come in on Saturday, and so it went from like 90 to like 80.
oh, wow.
Okay.
That would be nice right now. I
Yeah,
cannot wait for it to start cooling off.
the fall is my favorite. It's always been my favorite time of year because I'm like, there's 2 days where it's always perfect, and then it's either freezing or frying, or no in between at all.
Where are you located at?
So I'm based out of Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. So, we have about 2 really nice spring days and about 2 really nice fall days, and the rest is whatever.
I'm in Alabama, so it's usually very hot, and then once it gets cold, it's really cold. So,
Yeah, middle ground doesn't really exist here.
like one day it could be burning up hot, and then the next day you freeze. So, like weather just all over.
We have because we're in Oklahoma, it can be like really cold in the morning and then it'll get really, really hot in the afternoon. So it's like, oh, you have to have a t-shirt and a sweater.
Have to be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
So, if you want to, you can go ahead and like introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Kelly Harris, and I am the owner of Harris Virtual Solutions. What I always tell people is I help you to create memories and tell your story because stories are what sells. And so right now I create done in a day sales page copy to help coaches and course creators transform leads into buyers.
Okay, awesome. I think I need to get in your DMs and talk about that a little bit after this call
Yeah,
because I'm
absolutely.
mad.
But I started as a VA, kind of pivoted into copywriting because I realized I'd been doing it my entire life without realizing it. And then was on a podcast and had somebody be like, "When did you get your marketing degree?" And said, "I never got a marketing degree. I have an early childhood degree."
That's how it is. I started as a VA. I've done a little bit of everything from websites, branding, graphic design, admin work, and now I'm trying to, pivot into coaching more. So,
I think coaching is definitely down the line for me. I'm not quite there yet. I really want to make this part of my business sustainable. But prior to having my own business, I was a kindergarten teacher. And so the teacher in me is like, we must have a membership or a course to help as many people as possible. But we're not there yet.
yeah, so that's good. We have somebody on. How y'all doing?
We are so excited that you get to join us for our conversation.
So, what time is it where you are?
It is 10:38 here.
Okay, so we're on the same time zone.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm in Central, pretty much smack dab. I always tell people I'm smack dab in the United States. I'm actually from a tiny town called Yukon, but I stopped telling people that because every time I'd say I'm from Yukon, they'd be like, Canada? That's awesome. And I'm like, no, we're not that cool.
Looks like we have 2 people on now, 3 people.
Nice.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, guys. Thanks for joining us. So,
You can go ahead and dive in if you want to. I'll just make sure.
yeah, you can interrupt at any time with questions or stuff like that, but I really wanted to kind of take this opportunity to talk about all the things I love, which are, marketing and copywriting and messy action, and that's just kind of how we go. So I am going to start with a little bit of background. So like I told you, prior to deciding that I was going to be a business owner, I was like, cool, I'm going to be a kindergarten teacher. Prior to that, I actually had a background in design. So when I got out of high school, my dad was like, hey, you're a graphic designer, cool. And I went to college for that and then didn't get in the last semester. I was like, forget this. I'm just going to graduate with a minor in design and get married, and it's all good. And then after being married for a year, I went back to school because I told my husband, I was like, I feel the pull. Like, I need to go back to school. And had someone tell me, like, oh, you have all of these classes. You should be an art teacher. And, poor little Kelly, young Kelly was like, cool, that's a great idea. And so I started going to school for that. Well, in the middle of all of that, I subbed in a high school classroom, and they were taller than me, mouthier than me, like had to get on a soapbox to look them in the eye. And I was like, this sucks. I don't like it. Like, it's horrible. And then I subbed a kindergarten classroom or first grade classroom, and I had a little girl. I was pregnant with my oldest. I had a little girl ask me, are you pregnant or just fat? And I was like, I'm pregnant. Thanks. It's not too many cookies. And I kind of fell in love with the little ones. So I kind of pivoted and went to be a teacher for a while. And I always told my husband, like, a decade. I only want to do this for a decade. And then we'll see what the next chapter of my life looks like. And so I started doing that. And the pandemic hit in year 7 of me teaching. And by year 8, when I started school teaching kindergarten virtually in 2020, in August, he came to me in October and he said, you haven't had a day off. You literally went from working 65-ish hours a week to about 85 hours a week. And this is not sustainable. You have been in the building Monday through Friday because that's what they require of you. But then you have to film all of your lessons with an iPad, and then you have all weekend to edit them down and then push them back out on Monday and start over. So this isn't sustainable. Figure out what the next step of your life looks like. Because in May of 2021, ship sailing. We're done with this. We're going to see what the next step kind of looks like. And so I started looking around, and I started as a virtual assistant. And kind of like you, I mean, I've got the design background. I've done websites. I've done all those things. Really just thought, okay, well, worst case scenario, I can do data entry. I can answer emails, the things I did teaching, but never got paid for it. So this will be fine. And then in the spring of 2021, my husband and I were very blessed to go and be a part of a leadership course for the Boy Scouts because our 2 oldest are in Scouts. And so I learned servant leadership, I learned problem solving, I learned all of these things. And without even realizing it, that became the foundational stuff in my business. And it's stuff that I help people with even now. When I start working with someone, I always ask them, like, what's your mission? What's your vision? And so many people don't have any idea. They literally go about marketing, social media marketing, even just their emails, and there's no plan. They just are like, I feel like I have to send out an email right now. So I sent one like I'd write it to my sister. It's going to be awesome. And there's no hook. There's no call to action. There's no anything. And they're like, it's not working. Well, it's because you have no plan. But so many of us are, I always tell people, I feel like the world shifted with the pandemic, and we went to a lot of people online with no clue what they were doing.
Yes.
And, one of my foundational things in my business is building relationships with people, whether that's through storytelling, whether that's through, finding the right words to help them sell their product. we as a society were not great at relationship building prior to the pandemic, but the pandemic kind of acerbated that. And now, like, it's hard. And we need to talk to people. Like, we're so used to being stuck on a screen and thinking I can say whatever I want that it gets really hard, and it gets hard to market and to build your business when you have no idea what you're doing. You just feel like you need to do something because that is what you saw somebody else do online. And so the very first thing I'd say to people is, like, marketing, you have to think of it like this. You market yourself from the moment you get out of bed till the moment you go back to bed. What you choose to wear, how you choose to act, who you talk to, that's all marketing, because you're essentially selling yourself before you sell the ideas, before you sell your business, or you sell what you sell, whether it's a product or a service. People are going to see you and how you act and how you are dressed, and how you interact with other people, and they will automatically have an opinion. That's marketing. And a lot of people don't understand that that's marketing. They're like, no, this is how I've always dressed and it's fine. And it's like, cool. But how you're acting, is that in alignment with the kind of clients that you want to get? Because you need to know what your mission is for your business and what your vision is, because your vision is your long-term plan. And if you have a long-term plan and a vision and it's your North Star, then you're marketing to that plan.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people that just completely, they don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. And so it's so interesting to me. And like I said, this is all stuff I've learned going through. Like, I never thought about it until I started getting into marketing and getting into copywriting. But, like, teachers are marketing to the kids and the parents that they have in their classrooms. Everything that you do is a form of marketing. And so what I tell a lot of people is, like, take a moment, figure out what your strategy is. Because if your strategy is, I want to build my business organically through social media, cool. What does that look like for your business that's in alignment with you? Is it posting every single day? Is that sustainable for you? Because if it is, cool, that's, a great way to always make sure that you're putting out content. But that content has to be in alignment with what you're selling, or whether that's you're selling yourself, you're selling your service, you're selling your product. That content has to be value content, it has to be engagement content. But even, like marketing, so, they always tell us, and I'm sure you've heard it too, give value first, build the relationship. But what I see so many people doing is, hey, I'll give you tips and tricks that are do-it-yourself tips and tricks, but my service is a done-for-you service. So those things are not in alignment, because you're essentially telling them how to do it without you. Like, here's, go do it. You don't really need me, but really you should hire me. And so you have to just kind of really think through that. Like, I'm just as bad. If you go back through my Instagram, I'm sure I have tips and tricks on, how to build your sales page or how to do your email. And it's like, great. I just sold myself out of a job.
Crazy, because I've definitely done that before. Definitely. And probably still do.
Well, and I do. Like, I've spent, that was brought up to me last week, and I've spent all week like, okay, cool. How do I give value that actually promotes my service and still gives value? Because nobody likes the creepy, cringy, like, I have a friend who always calls it the guy at the bar. You don't want to be the guy at the bar that's like, hey, babe, let's go home and whatever. You got to kind of play the game and be like, hey, a drink, or let's go hang out, like, whatever. But you don't want to be that, like, just buy my service, because nobody likes that. They feel like it's creepy. They feel like it's cringy. And I mean, I'm right there with them, to the point that for a long time, I wouldn't even talk about my own services, because it was like, it doesn't feel like it's in alignment. And it was because of the way I had been taught. And now I don't do those things, and I come from it from a place of service, and it's so much more valuable. When you can go and tell somebody, like, hey, let's talk about what's going on. One, it's market research right there. If you can just get them to tell you what the problem is, mm-hmm. You're getting the market research. You're getting their words to describe the problem. Even if what they're describing as the problem isn't the true problem, If you can use those words and then essentially address what they think is the problem while giving them the real solution, that's where the magic's going to happen.
I think I need to get my notepad and start taking notes because yes.
Well, I mean, that's just, these are things that I've just kind of learned and picked up on, but it's so true. I have a friend who is absolutely obsessed with market research. And it
Mm-hmm.
took me so long to finally be like, John, just talk to people. That literally is your market research. You don't have to create a form and ask people to give it to you because, one, that's still going to be skewed data because you're only going to be able to get the information of people that actually fill out the form. But also, like, the best market research you can do is to talk to people and build the relationship. And I always tell people as a copywriter, I love to know how you describe the problem because if I talk to 10 people and they all tell me the problem that how they see the problem and there's a commonality, cool. I can use those words and put that in a sales page or put that in an email. And now suddenly people come back to me and they're like, how did you know? That's exactly how I was feeling. And it's like, yeah, because you told me. And I listened.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's kind of how it is. Like I had a sales job before this, and they always tell you like listen to what the problem is and basically flip it around on them. So yeah, that makes sense.
And I mean, a lot of times when they're telling you the problem, one of the best things that I kind of learned how to do, and I actually learned it from this leadership course, was to say, cool, if I could solve one problem for you, what would it be? Or, cool, how would you like this to end? Like, what would be the ideal outcome for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because what's cool about that is when you ask them and they tell you, then you don't have to guess at it. You literally like, oh, you need a sales page and the ideal outcome for you is that you're looking for a 25% conversion. Awesome. Now I know what the goal is and what
Mm-hmm.
the finish line looks like, and I'm not guessing at what are your key performance indicators? I've asked you, you've told me, now we're on the same page.
Right.
And marketing is a lot like that. When you are doing marketing, it's what and there's another key point here. Like I said, you market from the moment you wake up, but the other part of that is you have to be authentic to who you are. Because if you get up in the morning and you decide like I'm going to go get my hair done and pay $500, I'm going to go get my nails done and pay $500, but the service I'm selling is a $25 service, well, now you've created a character that you have to play, and people know. They know without even realizing it that they're like, something's off about this. I don't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, I mean, the other thing too that I always tell people, I'm a big proponent of messy action. As a recovering perfectionist who always wanted everything to be perfect, that was one of the hardest lessons to learn when I first started. When I first, sorry, sorry. When I first started as an entrepreneur, one of the hardest lessons to learn was that mistakes were okay and that I needed to take messy action. And for me, that looked like setting a timer, creating whatever it was, whether it was a lead magnet or an email or a sales page or taking pictures and putting it out on my social media, setting a time to work on the thing, and then when that timer was up, to just put it out into the world. Because so many people want what they're putting out into the world, want their marketing to look fantastic, and they spend all of this time and all of this energy making every little tweak, and then what ends up happening is they don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do anything because it's not ready yet. Or, like we spent 6 months on this campaign. Oh, but now the window of opportunity has now disappeared. So now let's start on the next campaign, but you never actually did any marketing for the first one. And so I always tell people messy action is totally my jam. And it's something that, as if you're an entrepreneur, absolutely 100% learn to embrace being uncomfortable and taking the messy action, because that's where growth occurs. And so set yourself a timer, create the thing, put it out into the world. And what's great about that is once it's out into the world, you now have the ability to get feedback. And I was kind of taught that, feedback is a gift. Even when people are a little jerky about it or not super nice, you kind of look at it and you say, okay, is there any value to what they're saying? Can I, any way that I can make this better? And then if there is, cool, let's make this thing better. And then we can put it back out into the world for more feedback. If there's not, then that's just an angry person, and their anger is not my problem. Like, I am responsible for taking care of me. I am not responsible for catering to them. What, what issues they have with whatever I'm doing does not actually affect me. And so the cool thing about taking messy action, putting it out there, is you can get that feedback. And then there is no limit to the number of times that you can actually, let me take this back, let me tweak it, let me make it a little better. Okay, cool, put it back out into the world. Got some more feedback. Okay, cool, I'm going to take it back, I'm going to change it again until I'm comfortable with it. And that's okay. That's totally okay to do.
Okay.
And then I think the other thing that I often tell people, especially with their copywriting or especially with their marketing, you have to have strategy. You have to be consistent. Consistent doesn't mean necessarily 2 to 3 posts a day. Consistent means, hey, I'm being consistent. Maybe I'm posting every Monday. And it's not going to be like, oh, I'm posting every Monday because today is game night. You have to be consistent and relative. So, one, you're consistent so that they know that you are still a functioning business, that you're still, a lot of people call it the look alive strategy, where they'll post 1 or 2 times a week just so that people are getting some form of content from them. But you also have to say, okay, cool. What can I give you that's valuable? What can I give you that's engagement? What can I give you that is marketing? Because there are so many people watching you, you never know. You really never know when you put something out on Instagram. Did one person see it? Has 10 people seen it? Have they, a lot of people, and I've had this happen a couple of times, where I will be putting content out for months and I'm thinking, okay, this isn't landing. I get a couple of likes on a post. I might get a comment or 2 on a post, but this isn't landing. Like, do I need to do something else? And then I wake up one morning and in the DMs is somebody who says, like, hey, I want to have a discovery call. And then when you get on the discovery call, they literally say, oh, I've been looking at your stuff for months. I was just waiting for the right time. Well, now's the right time. And those are the best, because you don't really have to sell your services. Your content has done it for you. So at that point, you're just seeing if you're a good fit.
Yeah, I've had that happen a couple times. So
Yeah. And so, we want to talk strategy and we want to talk vision and long term, but a lot of times to get to that long term, you have to look at the next right thing. So you have to ask yourself with marketing, what's the next right thing that I need to do? Okay, what's the next thing, one thing that I need to do that is needle moving in my business that is going to have an impact? And that can be hard because a lot of people think, okay, I'll build my website. That's needle moving. Well, not necessarily. If you're brand new, odds are people aren't looking for a website. It does legitimize your business, but they're going to go stalk you on Facebook and Instagram first, maybe TikTok, LinkedIn. Those are the places they're going to look before they ever go looking for a website. And so, like, I have a website, but that's because I offer several different things, but I also use it as a place for my portfolio. So it's nice to have, to be able to tell anybody, hey, go to my website. You have questions? Cool. Go to my website. You want to look at what work I've done? Cool. Go to my website. You want to know about my VIP day? Awesome. It's on the website.
right.
And then I'll talk to you. Because the other thing that I've kind of learned in the last year and a half is that time is my most valuable resource. I can always make more money. I can always make more marketing. I can pay people to do the things that are not in my zone of genius, because at the end of the day, I only have so much time.
Right.
I can't go and buy more time. I can buy back my time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, do you have any questions or anything that you want to talk about? Because we can do that too.
I was just gonna ask you, like you were saying, that you shouldn't give, like if you have a done for you service, that you shouldn't be giving away like DIY services. So what should we be giving out?
I mean, my thing is, and what I've kind of learned, There are some people that'll tell you, especially if you create a course or a membership, like, oh, you need to not give out very much. But the truth is, you can probably give out most of what you have, whether it's a framework, whether it's a, here's my step-by-step guide, whatever that looks like. It's okay to give that stuff away on your Instagram, because here's the thing, even if you give them the plan and you give them the recipe for your success, they're still missing the key ingredient. And the
Right.
key ingredient is working with you. Because it took me forever. Everybody would be like, "Oh, what's your secret sauce? Like what makes your business special?" Well, it took me forever. I was like, "I don't know." They're like, "Yeah, cool. Well, what add value?" And I'm like, "What do you mean by add value? I have no idea what that means." And they're like, "Yeah, you'll figure it out. Just add value." And I'm like, guys, you're killing me. I have no idea what this means. Like Facebook ads, like what are we talking? And it finally realized like adding value is anything that you can do to help somebody else's life get better. Same with your secret sauce. Your secret sauce is you.
Mm-hmm.
It took 2 years almost for me to finally figure out that your secret sauce is the way that you do business, the way that you interact with your clients, the way that you write your emails and have your voice. Because you and I could have the exact same business,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of the day, there are going to be clients that resonate with me, that want to be my clients, and there are going to be clients that resonate with you, that want to be your clients, even though we offer the exact same thing.
Right.
And that's okay, because we live in a really big world with a whole bunch of people in it. And so there is enough for everyone. And there's such a scarcity mindset,
Mm-hmm.
especially among people kind of starting in the entrepreneur world, that would be the other thing. With your marketing, you have to get into the mindset of, I have a growth mindset and I have an abundance mindset, that there's so much that I can have value-wise that I can give, and there's always enough. There's always enough. There are enough people for all of us to work together. And I often tell people, and a lot of people get shocked by this, I'm a big fan of collaboration over competition. Because at the end of the day, we're all on the same merry-go-round.
Right.
We're not doing different things. We are all in this together. And so I often tell people, like, hey, if you need help, I'm more than willing to help you. Or if with my sales page, I offer an affiliate program. And I always tell people, the reason I offered the affiliate program was I know a ton of women who would be more than willing to help me and expect zero from me. But here's the thing, I want to give back too. I want it to be a mutually beneficial thing. And that's why I created the affiliate program, because I was like, I'm only going to grow. So it makes sense to start it now so that it's already in the works and it's not something I have to add later.
Right. That makes sense.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
I was like, sometimes I get on a tangent. So
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, like, what type of advice would you give, like, new business owners as far as, like, marketing their services and things like that?
So a couple of things that I would say to that. One of them being, you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Marketing your services, putting yourself out there, it's hard. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's hard. And you're like, cool, yeah, it's hard, whatever. And then when it really gets hard, you're like, forget this. I'm going to go back to my 9 to 5. Well, first of all, your 9 to 5, though we want to say like, it's stable, it's really not. You could be fired tomorrow. It's a perceived stability. And so you have to understand that there are going to be really high highs and there are going to be really low lows, and that's okay. As a new business owner, you have this plan in your head. It's not going to go according to plan. Okay. You're going to think, okay, in a year, I'm going to make $20,000. It's going to be amazing. You might,
Mm-hmm.
it could take off. But the other thing is, it might not. It might take a while. I know a lot of business owners that are within a year and a half to 2 years in their business, and it's like the honeymoon phase is over. Now we are officially where we have to maybe take on a part-time job, which does not make you a failure if you end up having to do that for a little while, because it's a stage. Maybe you need to take on a VA job for a little while your copywriting business grows, or maybe you just have to look at other things. The other thing I will say for a new business owner, and this is the hardest part, you really want to go out there and say, I can help you with whatever. Awesome. but then you cast the wide net, and they always say the person that can help with everything gets no clients, because the more you are like, hey, cool, I'll do copywriting. Hey, cool, I can do websites. Hey, cool, I can do design. Well, then you don't become known for anything. And it's really hard for people to say like, oh, I need a copywriter. Cool, call Kelly. Or hey, I need a website designer. Cool, call Carla. And then they're like, oh, but you? Yeah, I don't know what you do, because I see you posting for copywriting, and I see you posting for design, and I see you posting for website builds. And so for a new copywriter, yes, you should maybe be a VA and try some different things to see what you really like. But just realize that at some point you need to niche down. And when you niche down, then you start telling everybody, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Hey, this is what I'm doing now. And even if things get a little hard and you have to kind of like back off and say, okay, I'm going to be a VA for a little while, there are lots of websites that you can do that without necessarily announcing it to everybody. And so you want to make sure that when you're starting your business and when you're niching, like, tell everybody. Have your power pitch, which some people call it an elevator pitch, which is really just a I help statement.
Right.
But you have that because that is going to help you figure out what your niche is. And by having your niche, when you talk to people, you can say, cool, yeah, I'm a copywriter. And the more times they hear that, the more times they start to think like, cool, Kelly, copywriter, Kelly, copywriter. And then when they see something on like Facebook or Instagram, hey, I'm looking for a copywriter, then they're like, I know one, cool. And then they start tagging you in posts.
Yep. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Easier to get like noticed for one thing versus trying to do everything. So
Yeah, no, I don't know about you, but like I was raised in the try to be a jack of all trades. Well, guess what? That's not really a thing. You know, who do we look at? We look at, oh, look, it's Serena Williams. She's been doing tennis her whole life. Or, you know, look at whoever and they've been an actor and that's all they do. Or, you know, here's a person who's a famous pianist, but they've been playing since they were 4. So who are we noticing? We're noticing the people that are niching. We're noticing the people that are not necessarily like, I have to do it all. And the flip side of this is when you're niching, you have to understand as a new business owner that you're going to be doing the sales. You're going to be doing the marketing. You're going to be doing the fulfillment. You're going to be doing all of those things until you get to a point where you can start to outsource the things that are not in your zone of genius.
right.
And that's okay. So like there's almost a dichotomy there. Like you want to be very specific with your services, but you have to understand that you kind of have to wear all the hats while you're growing your business.
Right. That's true.
So
Like, do you have any copywriting tips for like Instagram, like how to attract your
so a couple of things. One, Instagram really likes reels, and you really want to keep them between 10 and 30 seconds. Two, if you want to put white space in your words. So what that means essentially is if you create a small paragraph, let's say there's 10 sentences, it's okay to go in there and put some space between your sentences, or maybe like 2 sentences, a little bit of space, 2 sentences, because it increases our brain's readability. Our brains are wired to scan things, and it's gotten a whole lot worse with our digital age where we're getting so much information all the time. It used to be that we had, I think, 7 seconds to get onto a website and decide if we liked it or if the copy, you know, hooked us. And now it's down to like less than a second. And so you have to realize that one, your reel has to be cute or whatever, and you can give content there, but it needs to be kind of short and sweet because we just don't have the attention span anymore. And 2, with adding that readability, it actually, with that white space, it increases readability by like 85%. And so, you know, I had somebody recently tell me, well, your posts are too long. Well, yeah, because I'm a storyteller. So, you know, like, I'm sorry. And then I went back and looked at it. It was like, well, I do a lot of my stuff in a Google Doc, and then I'll drop it into Instagram or Facebook. And when you do, it gets rid of the formatting. So that's something to be aware of, that you might have to go back in and reformat some of your posts, especially if you're writing them outside of Instagram or Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's very helpful.
The other thing, make sure that there's a call to action on it. And honestly, one or two call to actions is pretty much all you need. You don't want there to be 5 different calls to action, because then people get lost. And so the reason I say put a call to action on it is because if you don't tell people what to do, they will do nothing. And
Right.
so if the call to action is, hey, like this, if it resonated with you, cool. You're telling them what to do. If the call to action is, hey, you want to check out my website? Here it is, you're telling them what to do. But a lot of people, I see they, especially newer business owners, they don't do that. The other thing is, and my husband and I were talking about this the other day, when you're doing your Instagram, you want to hook right at the beginning to get them to stop and read the rest of your stuff. But it's also okay to like hook, and then if the call to action is, hey, for more information, you can always check out my website, and then go into your story, because that way, at least if they're scrolling and they're only reading the first couple sentences, they're still getting your hook and your call to action.
Right. Okay.
So,
All right. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on and talking to us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And as I said, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you know of anybody that needs done in a day sales page copy, that's kind of what I do now, because I love that it's very short, done in a day, and I can spend the whole day focusing on my clients and building relationships with them, and then getting immediate feedback, and then fixing it. So going through a revision, and then it's like, cool, we're done. And now it takes one day, and it used to take, the average sales page usually takes 3 weeks to 4 weeks with copy. So I like that it's fast and succinct.
That's good. I like that too. I'll
Yeah.
definitely have a couple things in the works that I'm working on.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, if you need anything, let me know, and I appreciate you being able to let me come on today. So
No problem. Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.